do it with real intent, with sincere intent, and I appreciate that. And I don't want to trade places with you. I mean, the decisions you have to make, they're very difficult. So anyway, just wanted to say that. I'm really, really grateful for these three folks, for Deborah and Ricky and John, and for all they've done during my tenure to show that they really care about the city. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Anybody else would like to make citizens' comments? All right, anyone else? Citizens' comments? No? All right, thank you. Let's move on to, I'm going to read this and I'll read a memo that I just got. Executive session, the city council will convene in closed session pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code for one or more of the following authorized reasons. Section 551.074, personnel matters, to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of the following public officers or employees. A, City Secretary Deborah Howe. B, Director of Public Works John Gomez. C, Assistant Director of Public Works Ricky Carrasco. And item 2, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney. A governing body may not conduct a private consultation with its attorney except when the governing body seeks the advice of an attorney, advice of its attorney about A, pending or contemplated litigation, or B, a settlement offer, or C, consultation with city attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governing body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with the chapter pertaining to City Secretary Deborah Howe, Director of Public Works John Gomez, and Assistant of Public Works, Director of Public Works Ricky Carrasco, and any other matters which may arise. Normally we would adjourn. I'm going to turn to my attorney and ask him, because I have a written signed document. I, Deborah Howe, request that the discussion related to me listed on this agenda be conducted in an open session. Okay, so I'm asking the attorney on advice on how to proceed. Just make sure everybody understands this whole matter is driven by the city attorney. The agenda items are posted as a recommendation of this attorney to be able to consult with the council. So since I have this request, please help me. So because the subject matter, the subject literally involves all of them, I'm going to ask you about how do we go about separating out, because I want to honor her request, but how do we go about separating that out?
And she has the right under section 551.074, I believe it's B, to actually request that it be done in a.
Absolutely, I got that. I have no problem with that. I'm asking you is how do you separate the issues?
That's going to be the tricky part because it's all tied together. We would have to go about honoring her request.
Yes.
But if the other two do not want theirs in the open, then it's kind of difficult to do all of it.
Right. So I'm asking you.
Yeah. I mean, I think you would have to honor her request.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no question doing that.
Go forward and have it in open.
All of it.
All of it.
Okay. All right. Then we will move forward. Everybody understands what just happened?
Mm-hmm. I just have a quick question.
Yes.
Is it not appropriate to ask the other two individuals whether or not they want it open?
Right. Don't they have the same right?
They do. You can ask them and see what they do.
John? You do not. Ricky? Do not. Okay. So again, I'm back to it becomes an interesting discussion.
The facts are all together. It's kind of hard to separate one from the other.
So tell me how to proceed.
Well, what I would recommend that we do is let's go into executive session first. Let's discuss the legalities of this.
Okay.
And then we will come out and have.
And how allow an opportunity for Deborah to go that, and we can go on that. Okay. Then right now it is 3:09 PM, and we're going to go retire to recess to executive session.
Do you, no, there's no taping of that, correct? Because I didn't, there's a tape recorder in there, but there's
It's
no
not gonna
tape,
be recorded.
correct? Okay, okay.
You're just gonna do a certified.
A certified agenda, it's consultation with the attorney.
Okay, I'll make you one up shortly.
Okay.
The recording's back on.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, do you have an open and close for the executive session time?
Yes,
And I'll put it on. the slide.
I'll get you that in just a second.
Sure.
We'll go ahead and call the meeting, the open meeting back to order at 4:22 PM. Executive session opened at 3:11, closed at 4:21. And there were no votes, decisions, actions taken in executive session. Right now, what we're going to do is discuss the issues that we had scheduled for. Do I need to read it again? Okay, let me read this again. And as part of this, I want everybody to know that we have our, I gotta help me, is it Camilla Sandman? Okay, what we have on here is our attorney, Dan Jones, and we have our HR attorney with the firm, Kamala Sanderman. Okay, with us, joining us for this. Let me read the executive session since we're going to do it here. City Council will convene in closed session pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code for one or more of the following authorized reasons. Section 551074, personnel matters to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of the following public officers or employees. City Secretary Deborah Howe, Director of Public Works John Gomez, Assistant Director of Public Works Ricky Carrasco. Section 551.071, consultation with attorney. A governmental body may not conduct a private consultation with its attorney except when the governmental body seeks the advice of its attorney about a pending or contemplated litigation or a settlement offer, or consultation with attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the government body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the Texas State Bar is clearly conflicts with this chapter pertaining to City Secretary Deborah Howe, Director of Public Works John Gomez, and Assistant of Public Works Ricky Carrasco, and any other matter which may arise. The reason I read that again is because while we discussed two of those three, I'm going to read this again. I, Deborah Howe, requested any discussion related to me listed on this agenda be conducted in an open session. Sincerely, Deborah Howe, City Secretary. I will say that with the exception of legal questions, there was no direct conversation concerning Deborah, and at this time we'll have that in an open session. All right. I'm just going to make a couple comments first and allow you. I don't know how we do this, Dan. Do we ask questions or allow Deborah to make a statement, or how do we proceed?
How would you prefer that we proceed?
I'm sorry, did you ask me?
No, Camel.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I would say that y'all can discuss what was brought to your attention through the
Report?
how it came about, the situation, and then the issues that you have with the situation as it pertains to her. And then once y'all kind of lay that out, in fact, that you can have an opportunity to respond, or y'all can ask questions of her.
Okay. Having said that, let me just tell for everyone that may not understand what this issue is. On May 4th, there was a employee involved accident, and through the course of working through this, there were some issues of concern that resulted in the city losing ownership of one of our vehicles. When it was first brought to my attention, I immediately contacted the city attorney. City attorney advised me to either through the police department do a report to find out exactly what happened, because at that time, at least was what explained to me, it was unsure if the city lost title to the truck in a legal manner, legally, or if someone just took ownership of our truck. So the police department did an investigation. City council's been provided a copy of that report. And that's what's led us to today. That's the short version of it. Now, during the course of that, at least two of the three parties were interviewed and provided statements into how things transpired and got to where they're at. So, Deborah, as the city secretary, you're certified as a city secretary, a clerk, certified as a clerk, like a higher level than a regular one, right?
Yes, I
Okay,
mean, you
so-
can take a certification.
Right, so a certification. So based on your certification and knowledge and experience, there's certain processes that is believed should have been followed, and I'll allow you to go from there. John, Dan, did I lay that out?
Yes, that's.
Okay, and then Deborah can do that, or you just want to open it up for questions?
Perhaps you want to just make your statement?
No, I mean, my question is, what am I supposed to be telling you? I'm sorry,
Oh.
because originally, if this is about the truck accident, we
Yes,
followed the procedures as usual. I find out about it, I write it up. This happened to be that the owner of the vehicle that hit the city vehicle was injured. And so we proceeded to go through the process with Geico Insurance. Generally, the city either aren't so lucky to have someone that has insurance. So if I'm supposed to be telling you what I did, I'm not sure, because I'm not sure what statement I'm supposed to be telling you.
well.
I'm sorry.
Let me start you with this one. Why was not TML involved immediately? Because the city's insurance provider is TML,
Correct?
and if I'm mistaken, I don't believe I am, that the standard process is that everything goes through TML. Our fault, their fault, anybody's fault, and TML will handle the process and makes us whole. So there's questions about why wasn't TML involved in the beginning? Number one, not only on the accident, but also why wasn't TML involved on the workers' comp claim? Why is the city working from behind? Why did it take someone else taking ownership of our truck, legally taking ownership, by the way, after providing notice to the city, and not having it repaired, but losing the ownership of a truck before TML was involved? And the city attorney was not notified until I notified him after I got told from the city administrator.
Okay.
There's a lot to uncover there, so
Right.
go ahead.
Well, first of all, when we started this process, and like I said, generally we do not have a insured driver hit us. I contacted Geico from the crash report. I was told when I contacted them, a claim had already been reported by the person that had done it. They would take care of all of the claim. They took responsibility. At that time, I had gotten a tow bill. I sent over with the claim number to the insurance company, the tow bill and the crash report. She said, we've already got it, but I sent her everything I had. She said, we will start the process. We went through, I talked to the Lone Star Towing. They had our vehicle, and I don't know why it went to their yard, because generally it would go to, I'm assuming Public Works in the past. But The insurance adjuster got a hold of me from Geico, and he said, I'm going out to look at the truck. We did get, and I have information in here. I said, that's the thing. Nobody ever asked a question. I mean, I'm not saying that when this all came to a head, and this has been put on the agenda, it's like, you know, I would be happy to share this with you. I've never seen anything like this happen. I've had TML tell me they've never seen it happen. I've had Geico tell me, said, I've never seen this happen. So when I contacted Geico and sent them a second, because we got a second notice, I put the claim number on it. I said, please let me know when this is taken care of. The insurance adjuster that went out there, he was out of, I believe, Mississippi, Alabama. He'd came down. I said, so he said, well, I'll write this up. He said, well, I'll send it to the office. I said, well, now I do know when this goes into the body shop, this is not complete. We do have a check from them for what his estimate was. He said, oh, no, this is the first of many steps. He said, where would you want to take this? And I said, well, we usually use North Park Chevrolet. North Park does not have a body shop. I called San Antonio. They transferred me to that body shop. I left a message on his voicemail and said, it's on McCarty Road. I gave him the phone number, and I moved forward. So then I get a call from Ricky that they had, well, in the process, the insurance company said, we will supply you with a rental vehicle because he doesn't have one. And so they set it up with him because he had to be the driver. He kept the vehicle. In the process of this, I never heard back from him. I assumed, because when I talked to the tow truck driver, I said, am I supposed to be trying to figure out where this truck is going? He said, no, the insurance company should take care of that. He said, I've worked with Geico. He said, they contact me, tell me where to take it, and then I get paid. And I said, okay. I said, I was not sure. I said, I haven't had to do this, but I said, I don't know that I would assume the insurance company would handle this because they're paying for it. And so then we turn around and Ricky's driving the truck. He gets a notice that they need to bring it back in. He said, for some reason, the insurance company or the rental company told him they assumed that it was totaled. I said, well, let me call and see. So I get a hold of the insurance adjuster. Again, because I had a cell number, I tried to reach Geico, didn't have anybody. I called them and I told him, I said, they're saying that this truck is totaled. I said, you said it, of course it wasn't. And he said, well, let me see what they say. So then he calls me back and he leaves a message and said, I need to talk with you. And so he calls me, he said, I can't find the truck. I said, what do you mean? He'd called the body shop in San Antonio. And he said, I can't find the truck. And I said, well, would the person in the office know where it went to? He said, I don't know. He said, no, they wouldn't have it. I said, would the tow truck driver know where it went to? He said, well, maybe. So I called the tow truck driver. And that's when I found out. I said, we're looking for the city truck. I said, they're saying, I said, they can't find the truck. And he said, well, we sold it last week. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, I never heard from the insurance company. He said, so I assumed it was totaled. And so he said, we sold it. And of course, I'm talking to TML in the middle of this too, because I had sent it over to them and said, here is the information on this, but they're insured. I said, the insurance company has already said they're taking responsibility for it, that they would handle the claim, and that their clients, was at fault. And they said, okay. They said, it's informational. I said, yes. In the middle of this on the workers' comp, which has been sent to them, I've talked to them back and forth on this. I said, yes, it's our city vehicle. But I said, what do you do on that when the insurance company says we will take all responsibility? They said, if there's, because I told them, I said, I believe he had went through in the ambulance or to be checked out. Mm-hmm. And I said, so there may be some medical information. And they said, just put the claim number on it and send it to us. They said, we take responsibility for that. And so in talking to the TML, which I talked to Ginger, their Pastrano, for about 2 hours when I found out about this truck. And I said, it's so off on this. And I said, do I need to go ahead and file this workers' comp claim? She said, well, we will look at it. She said, but if they're taking responsibility, it would only be if they don't pay for something. She said, then we're going to look at it. And I said, okay. And she said, on the truck, she said, it would be, they've taken responsibility. We would just wait and see. You know, I mean, they expected it to be paid for by Geico. And so I said, well, we started looking for the truck to see where they sold it, or, you know, because he just said, we sold it. I said, well, we have exempt tags on this thing. And I said, the title is still in our name. And I said, you know, I don't even know what's in the truck. I said, what do you mean? And so he said, well, he said that he took the tags off. And of course, I relayed this to her, and she said, well, she said, I said, where did you sell this at? I said, we're looking online to see if you sold it on an auction, because she had made a comment. She said, well, if they sold it for more the towing, because I asked him, I said, did you ever get paid for your towing? And he said, no. And she said, if he sold it for above the towing fee, she said, the city should be reimbursed for that. And I said, okay. I said, I just can't believe this is happening. And so then I called him. She told me she wrote it up on what I had told her, and that's when she said, you need to let the city attorneys know, because she said, from her point of view, the insurance company and the tow truck had the truck, and between the two of them, you know, she said they were the responsible parties. Because I told her, I said, I'm assuming that they took the information I gave them and the truck was taken to be fixed. I said, I never even thought about it not being taken out of the yard. And of course, Lone Star did not call me back. They knew it was a city truck and say, hey, we've still got this truck. He just responded when I told him. He said, well, I never heard back from the insurance company. And so then in the process, the detective came over, wrote all, you know, I had to write up everything that I just told him. And he told me, he said, well, he said, we use this towing truck or towing company, you know, a lot. And I said, well, I said, all I know is TML said they couldn't believe because they knew it was a city vehicle. And if you run the VIN, you know it's a city vehicle. And, you know, she said, this should not have happened. She said, I can't believe Geico didn't check in on this. I said, all I know is, I said, we suddenly found out that they thought the truck was totaled. I said, in Geico, when I talked to them, I left them a message when I found this out. And I said, hey, somebody owes me a truck. I said, I don't know what's going on, where the miscommunication started from the tow truck to y'all or what was going on. I said, but, and of course, that person, it was a different agent. And so I called her back then when I got, this is all around 4th of July. When I got back, I got in touch with her and she said, well, I really don't do vehicles. And I said, well, I don't know how come they changed me to you then. She said, well, I do medical and I do property. And she said, I've never heard of this. She said, here is the adjuster. I said, well, I have the adjuster's number. And she said, here's a supervisor. And so I contacted him and I said, I found out what happened to the truck. I said, they sold it. He said, what? He said, I've never heard of that. And I said, well, I said, I have your supervisor. He said, well, I need to talk to a supervisor in Texas because it's a licensed state. I don't know what that means, but he was supposed to get back with me. Now, in the process, Detective Newsom, like I said, came over. I told him everything. He said, write it down. He said, we found the truck. I said, well, thank goodness, because I asked, his name's Alex, from the Lone Star. I said, where did you sell it? I said, do you have an online auction? TML Ginger was online with me, and we were trying to find this truck online. And he said, because they'd had one a few weeks before that it showed. And he said, we don't do that. He said, we just sell them in the yard. He said, we just have one in the yard. And I'm like, okay. And of course, Ginger from TML said, they don't advertise their auction. I said, that's what he said. He just said, I do it in the yard. And so she said, well, I don't think that's right either. And so in the process of this, he came over, I wrote all this down, sent it to him. She had written and said, you know, you need to get a hold of the city attorney. I told Leroy, I said, this is what's been said. I said, I've got to call into him. He's supposed to get with his supervisor. I said, they need to make it right. But I said, I'm waiting for him to get back with us. And then after that, I said, well, we need to let you know because we had not heard. And so that's how you came into this. But in the process of this, Mr. or Detective Newsom, he said he's got it at the other yard. I didn't have any pictures. He said, I need the pictures from the truck. I said, they never sent me anything. I said, I've got the estimate. I said, they've never sent me pictures to go along with the truck. He ended up getting the truck pictures because he sent me a copy to put in the file from the tow truck driver. I said, he said, well, they're supposed to send them to you. And then I emailed him, I guess it was yesterday or maybe it was Friday. He said, I've never heard from Geico. They've never sent it to me yet. But that is all I can tell you. I mean,
Okay.
I know it's horrible.
Well,
But I mean,
there's a few things that I just want to go by. Couple questions and stuff. First off, while it's hard for me to accept what the tow truck guys did, but my
Yeah.
understanding is they followed the law. They gave the city a notice, and in the notice, it clearly states if you don't claim it in 45 days, they get the right to claim it. They sent a second notice as required by law, a 30-day notice, says if you don't claim it, it's theirs.
Mhm.
And the truck, with the exception of the exempt plates, had absolutely no markings on it that it belonged to the city, with the exception of the exempt plates. So, and my understanding in one of the reports, they changed the title because they thought the city abandoned it, must be totaled, and it was a good deal.
well, I bet it was a good deal.
So their words, not mine.
I know.
Okay, so that's a problematic here. My understanding from Geico that it is the owner's responsibility to get it is standard procedure with them for the owner of the vehicle to get it to the repair facility. They don't do that. So that was that. The other thing is I'm really concerned with when TML asked to contact the attorney, and at least talking to Dan to this day, you haven't talked to the attorney about it, even though you went to Leroy and then come to me. So I went to the attorney, and what started it is because we were unclear on, we reacted based on a potential theft of city property
Right.
by how do we lose this truck. Then the workers' comp is a whole nother issue. But my question to you is, in all of your time as a city secretary, when have you not turned in a potential workers' comp claim? I mean, because almost the standard process is it's normally turned in, even though anybody's fault, TML makes us whole and then they go after the other insurance. That's the part that's a really stickler when you talk about the local governments and the city. And I think there's been accidents before, our fault, somebody else's fault, that we automatically file with TML and then let them figure it all out. So that's a question of concern about how we even got to this point, because again, TML makes the city whole and then they go after the other insurance company. So
Well,
there's a whole lot of issues, but I'll turn that over to people that, Nicole, did you want to ask them?
I just want to kind of recap to make sure that we're on the same page.
Yes.
The first question that you had was why was TML not immediately notified of vehicle and workers' comp? The answer to that is that there was confirmation that Geico said that they would cover both the vehicle and the medical expenses in full. And as far as the vehicle question goes, that the vehicle was purchased by the company, but it is also, correct me if I'm wrong, it's also been offered to them or offered to us as a remedy for that they are willing to let us buy it back for what they sold it for. So
I have not heard that. I mean, I don't know anything about that. I'm sorry.
But so it's a question of the loss of the vehicle. Is there a remedy available? So outside of that, I also am curious about the second question. When did you not turn in a workers' compensation
There's-
claim?
well, there's-
Well, but I'm curious about it for this
Sure.
reason. Namely, does that mean that we need to go back through the entire 20 some odd years of city records and pull every accident, every claim, and then kind of go through and filter that? Is that the next piece of information that's relevant?
There's a few times that I make a report, but if they do not go to the doctor, it's on hold. So that if one day when they do, you have it as a report that it has been reported to the office.
But if they go to the doctor, based on your own words right there,
Yes.
if they go to the doctor, there's a claim filed.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
There was no claim filed on this one.
exactly. And part of this is, as I said, with Geico telling me that they were going to take care of all of it. And that's what I talked to TML about. I said, am I supposed to be doing this? I mean, I understand it's a city vehicle. And I sent it in, the vehicle accident, as an informational, because they said with it being a party that has stated they will take care of it, we have as an information. I said, what do we do on this workers' comp claim? I said, because it is in the city vehicle, but they've already stated they will take care of all medical. I said, I guess in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't want the city to be out funds if someone else is going to pay for it. I understand that they would go back and look at it, but on top of this, they do have the information. I did go ahead and do it. I said, the issue part of it is, I said, I have received no medical bills, which I will put it into that claim. I know Ricky has said that he does have something from, I think, the ambulance, but it also should go to Geico because they've already said they will take care of it. I understand that it's going to be two different things, but I think there is, and I don't want to speak for him because there's other things. My understanding is that Geico said they will not necessarily speak with him now because of a representation.
Is
I
it
can't
po-
say,
is it-
but I said, I don't know.
Is it possible that, I'm going to ask the attorney this one, is it possible but this whole matter could be turned over to the TML and let them try to figure this out? Because my question is, has Geico closed the claim because we've given ownership of the truck away early?
It's possible that it could be turned over to email and let them figure it out. Will they or will they not? I don't know.
Don't know. Okay.
Well, and the only thing on that,
Yeah,
they did,
far wrong yet.
I'm sorry, they did ask me, they said, have you signed anything? I said, we've not signed anything. I said, there's been nothing given to us on, it's finished, it's over. That's why I talked to the detective. I sent him an email today and said, have you heard anything back? Because he's got this. And I said, do I need to call Geico? He said, well, he was told to put it on hold because the city attorney is going to handle it.
That's correct.
So I'm like, I can call them. I mean, because to me, there's been nothing sent to say this claim is finished. We have the estimated money that they have sent, and it's held. They sent a check for the estimate.
So Geico didn't say the truck was totaled. It was the salvage yard that said it.
I don't.
Enterprise.
No, it was Enterprise.
The report, it was Enterprise that said. that
My
was-
understanding
Who
from
was- who
from
was being
Rick-
paid by
right.
from Geico.
no, my
rental?
understanding is
the rental.
Yeah,
when
That's what.
our Ricky was contacted to bring back the rental vehicle.
right.
He was told by the rental place that they thought the truck was totaled. In doing this, I said, I don't understand how they would even know that.
Somebody had to tell them that.
And so he said, can you check on the truck? And I said, well, yeah, because I don't think it was supposed to be totaled. And that's when I started calling. And so, and of course, the rest of it is how the steps went about.
Understood.
But I don't know how the Enterprise knew this or even thought this. And so,
Nicole, I'm sorry. Did you have something else? Okay.
Not right now.
but I'm just saying, on the far as the workers' compensation, if there's medical that needs to come in, because he did, we have to see if he went to a doctor, because I think he had some therapy, if it was part of the workers' comp group. If not, they said we will look at him to see if there's any evaluation we need to do. They also said that if there is a legal representation, they would look at that first. So I don't know.
I don't
But
want to
they-
go,
well, no,
particular- I don't
well-
want to go specific on an employee.
But I don't know.
Deposit in the check.
Sir,
Pardon?
Has the check been
Yes,
Yes.
deposited?
it's held, but yes.
$4,400 that guy
Whatever it
paid
was.
is in the bank. I don't want to go out anybody
Yeah.
personal or anything like
Right.
that.
But I'm just saying, they're
I'm
going
gonna
to look
make
at
a-
it too.
I'm going to make a general broad stroke comment about workers' comp. When an employee is subject to a claim at workers' comp, the city, through the reporting, the doctors, the medical facilities have to provide a report back to the city. And the report back to the city is the condition,
Mhm.
are they able to come to work with or without restrictions? Are they released? Are they not released? And part of the closeout is they've reached maximum medical improvement. These are required documents that workers' comp provides to the city. Okay? And you don't have any of that.
No, I have
Okay.
no information from the
And I'm
medical.
not trying to get into
no,
somebody's
no, no,
personal
no.
business.
But I've
I'm
never.
just talking
I-
about the general process.
When you go to a doctor or say the medical facility, if you say it's a workers' comp, they should be contacting me to get the information.
Sure.
I've never received anything.
Okay.
That's why I was asking him. I said, did you go somewhere?
Okay.
And then he told me he was having some therapy. I said, well, I said, I have not gotten anything from a doctor or anything.
Okay.
So I don't know where all that stands.
Where that all fits. Okay. That's
But-
fine. Excuse me. Miss Martinez, did you have anything you'd like to ask?
Why a rental car?
Because when I contacted him and said that he had a city vehicle and that it was a take-home vehicle, and they said, do you have anything that he can drive? I said, not that there was not another vehicle. They said, we will provide one for you. And so they went ahead and got I think it was a pickup, was it? Yes. They found a pickup, I guess, that was like or similar to the one he had. And so they provided the rental vehicle for a couple of weeks, I guess, maybe. I don't know how long. He sat and turned around, and of course, they got his information. He picked it up because he was the driver.
Well, another question that brings up another question concerning the workers' comp, because without knowing what the conditions are, stuff like that, it says it very possibly subjected a city employee, exposed the city to a liability if they weren't medically
Cleared.
able to operate a vehicle. Am I correct?
Medically cleared, yeah.
So that's a liability on the city. Go ahead, ma'am. I'm sorry.
How, on previous claims that you've had to work,
Hmm.
how often would you re-engage with TML or whoever to check status of a claim?
Once I put in a claim, the employee itself say if it's just a regular claim, they go back to the doctor because the doctor will tell them when they need to come back, when they have to have rechecks, sends it in. TML doesn't necessarily respond. I mean, they don't contact me.
Right.
At some point, if that employee has went a length of time on something that they think is too long, as far as they have, I think, something that whatever's happened, if they have a claim, they allow so many, I guess, days or weeks to be cleared up, whether it's surgery or whatever.
Right.
If it goes longer than that, then they will go back and they'll do investigation. But far as anything with us, if they are off work, we give them a wage statement, and I don't have anything until the person comes back to work, and I send them another claim form.
What
It
about
shows they're back
the
to work.
processing of a vehicle?
Same thing. I mean, we've got, you just send it over to them. They do have a adjuster, a lot of times that will come here or wherever and have a look at it. They'll say, this is how much it is. We take $1,000 deductible off. We have a police car right now that hit a light pole.
Yes.
And so that right then, I scanned it in, sent it over to them. And because it was our insurance and our fault, I guess, they sent, in the middle of this, I sent that information over. Chief asked me for the claim number. He contacted them. I've been printing off emails from that to where we got to check for what they think is the damage to the vehicle. And so
Was the vehicle rented to the city or to the individual?
it was was it to you, Ricky? Because I think you had to give them all. Pardon? Okay. Right. Right.
So it was provided to the city with as the designated driver, but the city actually rented the vehicle, or it was
No, we
rented
didn't
on
rent
the
it.
city's behalf.
This right here, I don't see anything where it says that, does it? I have the rental. I mean, they sent us, I guess
Right.
somebody gave it to us on the
Okay.
Enterprise. He's the renter. I know they just said that, whoever was going to drive, they were going to have to be the one to pick it up because they were responsible. If the vehicle didn't have, unlimited mileage, that would be part of the city's responsibility. But, and of course, keeping water or gas in it.
During the rental period, was the insurance of the vehicle covered by the rental, or was it umbrella under the city's insurance?
No, I did call TML and ask them. I said they wanted to make sure that our insurance did cover it.
Okay.
If it didn't, then the Geico said we would have to look. They would look at it to see if they needed to do something different.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Sheena. Go
No,
ahead.
no. That's all I've got right now.
Question.
Ms. Solis.
Geico are insured,
No.
No.
or is it the person at fault?
Yes.
That's the
Okay.
personal part. Ours is TML.
Okay, so the accident happened on the 4th of May, and then TML or a submittal, the automobile claim submission to TML happened on the 22nd of May. How come it took that long to contact TML?
Well, I know the estimate for the vehicle did not even come in until the 21st of May. It happened on the 4th. I'm going to say when I was notified, that was on a Monday. I called Geico because I was waiting on the crash report, and that's how I got the information of who the person was, and the Geico was the insurance, and that's when I called them. On TML, I said, I went ahead because I talked to him and I said, do I need to send this to you because it is insured, an insured driver? And they said, go ahead and, send it over. And so that was on the 22nd. The estimate itself was not sent to me till the 21st. The adjuster didn't get out there till then. I mean, I think it was pretty much the day of.
And in that time, Ms. Deborah, did you notify anybody else of the accident and the process from the 4th of May to the 22nd of May? City administrator?
He knew
city
about
council?
it. They both knew it.
Okay,
Not the council.
okay,
The city administrator and, of course, the public works director both knew about it.
okay. And then the situation is pretty severe.
Can I interject one
Right.
question to that question you posed? When the city administrator at the time
Mhm.
left employment on the 9th of June, between the 9th of June and end of June,
Mhm.
when did Leroy first get notified?
This
And
is
When did you first become aware of this?
This is before while Scott was still here. 'Cause
So you knew about it when Scott was
we
still
knew
there?
about I knew about the accident. Yes, sir.
Well, yeah, we were in the office at the
Yeah,
same time,
yeah.
but you knew the status of it.
As far
Well,
as
in general.
I mean, just in general, because Deborah handles that, and so just
I'm
based on
sorry.
her conversation,
I just want to clarify,
she was making contact with Geico and TML. I mean, that was
the details,
she took care of the details.
the details you
Yeah.
didn't know until
Correct.
after we lost the truck, and you were told.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Well, no, I mean, we had prior conversations about she made contact trying to find where the truck was
Okay,
at. Yeah,
okay,
she-
okay, but it was along that time frame.
And
I'm
when you
sorry,
ask
Valerie,
about
I
the-
just want to
the-
clarify that.
council is and I'm going to say this, normally council is not, I say, informed of a general accident. I mean, it's not
true.
It's not very common. I mean, no. And of course, when this all happened, yes, you would be informed because I was like, I've never seen this happen before. And honestly, I didn't realize when I told him, and in general, when I tell the city administrator on certain things, I assume the city administrator will talk to the city attorney. I apologize because I didn't realize I was supposed to call him on that, because I was kind of like, okay, I'm going to let you know this is what they're saying. And I guess that's my bad for not calling the city attorney on this. That's why I was trying to figure out on this. I have this file, which I did make a copy for the detective, but I'm kind of like, he didn't have it unless somebody gave it to him. And he needs to see this information so that he can write this letter or whatever he's going to do.
Where do you think, out of this entire process with the loss of a vehicle, where do you think the process broke down?
I think personally, I think the communications from Geico, and I'm sorry, I don't do too many vehicles. I've had one stolen and I've had one totaled. And neither time was I involved with, it hadn't to be my insurance. But in the process of them saying, I never was contacted. Everybody may know you're supposed to take it to the shop. I do not. Geico never spoke to me and said, this is the process and this is what you need to do. Shame on me for listening to the tow truck driver. Says he works for Geico all the time and that they contact him to take it places. And so in the middle of this, I never spoke with them. That I'm aware of, they never contacted me, because I asked Ricky, I said, did they talk to you? I said, in the middle of this, I said, I assumed that it went to be fixed, but I never had them contact me and go over, I say, the estimate. I had an email that said, you need to take care of this. We're going to send you a check. The email was done, like I said, the weekend of Memorial Day, a Saturday and a Sunday. We were off on Monday. I said on Tuesday, and they said, never mind, we're sending you a check. I've never signed anything. I've never conferred with them on anything. And I'm like, except for the adjuster, when he said, I'll send you the estimate, and this is the first of many steps, they'll get with you. That's the only person other than the claim or the agent in office, or the one lady that started it and then had Ricky, pick up the rental car. And the other lady, I spoke with her after the fact and said, I don't know how you got our claim, because I said, I'd left her a message and said, somebody owes me a vehicle, because I said, I found out that it wasn't taken care of. And that's when she told me that she generally did medical and the property tax or property claims. I said, well, how did you get us then? I said, you're the second claim, agent. She said, well, my name is on that. And she said, I guess they just sent you to me. To me. And I'm like, well, there's an issue here.
Those are my
Yeah.
questions right now.
Okay. I only want to just clarify something. Okay. When you contacted TML on the 22nd, they specifically, and it's in one of these reports, that they told you to contact the city attorney.
No, that was on the that was July the 1st.
Okay. I'm looking for it. But anyway, I
It's
know
from-
they advised you to contact the city attorney.
Yes.
So, okay. Mr.
She
Shep.
wrote on here, at this time, I would advise the city to have the city attorney get involved with legal ramifications, as the truck was in the care, custody, and control of the tow company, and Geico had not had it moved to the repair shop, and also had not paid the tow company for the storage of the truck. And she said, please keep us updated if we can assist in any way. However, right now it appears to be between Geico and the tow company.
Mr. Shep.
Just clarification on the, on reporting it to the attorney. Earlier you stated in your words, my bad. So
Well, I was not aware that I understand about speaking to the city attorney. But for me, when I went to Leroy as the interim city administrator, I'd have done the same thing to Scott and said, this is what's going on. This is what they suggested. And in general, that person talks to the city attorney or talks to y'all. I have no problem talking to the city attorney, but that's what,
but that was
I
what was
was in general.
recommended by TML,
yes,
and that
on
did
the
not happen.
first. On the first. I have not spoken to the city attorney.
And the two certified correspondence that were sent by the record service, 45 days, 30 days. Who signed for those?
I have no idea. because I did not receive them. They came to the city. I know I think it was the first one, I'm not sure. It ended up getting taken to Public Works. It was sent to Public Works. I don't know who signed for it originally. It comes in the mail. I got a copy of it, and then the second one came in because I told the finance department, I said, I need this one. I said, because I've got to send it over to them because I had the first one and I got a copy of it. And that's when I contacted Geico and she said, send it over. I sent the second one over to him and said, this is a second notice. Please let me know when this is taken care of. And from there, I did not sign for any of them. No, sir.
Can we find out who signed for those on behalf of the city?
I'm sure. I just say it's probably the person up front.
Was it delivered to City Hall or delivered?
If they
to
were
Public
submitted
Works?
through like a certified letter, then yeah, we definitely could.
I don't
And we
know.
can ask the.
There was two certified, but it just says in the report delivered to the city.
Right.
So
The post office, they, believe it or not everything gets signed. The mail delivery signs a lot of certificate ones, unless it's specific, like restricted. They'll sign it and do it. I can tell you that for a fact.
Okay.
On return. So it's as long as somebody with the city accepted it, they obviously did because they got it. That's more important than the signature on who signed it.
Well, I guess my concern on that is the fact that we were warned 45 days out and 30 days out of the impending
Loss of the truck.
loss of an asset. And we roughly tacked, let's be conservative and say $25,000. So now we have a $25,000 asset that we're out, and we got to find out why. And so,
And to answer your question, Jeanette emailed Public Works, John, about the certified letter, I believe it's May 11th. And then Jeanette did route it up to
Me.
Deborah.
Yes.
May 11th.
routed it up. Okay. All right, that's all my questions.
Anybody else have any? Oh, Mr. Marchman, I almost forgot about you.
I'm good.
So
Go ahead.
if we knew that, hadn't heard anything from Geico and that's still being worked and what have you, why didn't the city take a proactive to pay the tow company and then go after Geico to reimburse them for that fee?
good question, because I do not know. I know the bill came to us, but I'm going to tell you again, when I called Geico, I told her, I said, we have a tow bill. And she said, send it to me. And of course, my copies have, I wrote the claim number because she gave me a claim number. She said, it's already been, set up. She said, send me everything you have. And she said, we will take care of it. And I said, okay. That was the thing too. I said, if someone had said, we need to pay this, even the tow guy, I said, he never said you need to pay this bill. And shame on me, but he said, no, the insurance company pays this. He sent it to me, or the city, excuse me, because it is a city vehicle. But, and I guess I shouldn't trust the insurance company, because when they tell me, send you, and that's why the second one came in, and I put the claim number on it, and I said, I sent it over, and I said, this is the second notice. I said, you need to let me know when you take care of this. And, I'm just sitting here thinking, of course, it was in our name, but it was on their claim form, and they should have, and they have it in their office. I said, I don't know where it lost it. The adjuster went in, he gave it to his company, and then they did that, but I never had a person respond to me and say, you need to do this, this, and this. Because, the AP said, am I supposed to pay this? I said, no, they told me to send it to them. And so I did, and of course, then, like I said, when talking to the tow driver, he said, no, they'll tell me where to take the truck, and then I get paid. And I'm like, okay. So I'm just thinking, okay, that's what's going to happen.
So I just want to make sure on that is after you got the notice for the truck, then you talked with the tow truck people?
I talked to him,
After we got the notices or after the truck? was
no,
already
he'd sent the
transferred?
notice 2 days after he picked the truck up.
I understand that.
Yeah. And so
That's
when
a-
I talked
that's
to
a-
him,
By law, they could do that.
correct. And so, no, I talked to him and I said, I was trying to think when I talked to him the second time. And I'm sorry, I can't remember, because I told him, I said, I've sent it to the insurance company. And he
Okay.
said, okay. I mean,
Well, by,
And that's why I asked him
but
if
my
he got paid.
understanding by the law on the tow trucks, almost immediately with the bill, it's a 45-day notice.
Mhm.
And then they're required to give you a second notice at 30 days. Then after that, it's
Mhm.
theirs if nobody comes and gets the truck or vehicle, excuse me. And
I just know,
rather than going to auction, they elected to keep it themselves
well,
for
and,
whatever reason.
in talking to TML, and I understand, but she said, and just, this is from the insurance company, she said, as a courtesy, she said they knew it was a city vehicle because when they run the VIN,
Sure.
and because they worked with the city quite a bit,
Right.
she said, I can't believe you didn't call and say, hey, this truck is still here.
Uh,
And when I talked to him,
Yeah.
I said, no, I said, this truck, I said, it's a city vehicle. So he said, well, I just assumed it was totaled because I didn't hear anything back from the insurance company. And so I'm like, okay, I'm like not very
Well,
calm when this all happened because I couldn't believe this. I just thought, this is crazy.
his response to the city was that nobody from the city claimed the truck, and he thought it was a great deal, so he bought it himself. That's
Yeah.
from them.
Oh,
There was
I
no
understand.
talk about
I
total.
understand.
It was treated as unclaimed property.
Right. Oh, I'm sure it was. He felt like it was.
That's how they treated it. Yeah,
So-
yeah. Go ahead.
Ms. Deborah, I think you said, or you stated it earlier, that TML gave you earlier guidance to take all direction and or guidance from the insurance company once you initially contacted
Yes.
them?
Yeah, I told him that, and what I did was I said, we've got this vehicle. They had an accident. I said, but Geico, I explained to him that I talked to Geico, explained what they told us, and she said, okay. She said, because it is already a different party that's going to take care of it, they would not step in. And so I said, okay. I said, and that's why I said, well, I guess that's informational then. Because I said, we have, already spoken with Geico.
Would they wouldn't step in?
Well, they wasn't going to take the claim. I
Big-
say to take care of the truck.
I understand because
to pay for it.
it
Yes, sir.
It was an after the fact. Initially, they would have.
Well, they wouldn't have paid for the truck.
Initially, they would have
Repairs.
taken the claim because as anybody would on full coverage, and then they would go back subrogation with the other insurance.
Well, I asked her.
And they will do that even on your personal note because I know it. I've had it done.
Well, I did ask them that. I said, if I'd have sent this to you,
Yes.
and she said, well, no, because if this is what was said,
Sure.
was
No,
that
no, I got it.
because the insurance company took responsibility, she said we would not have, stepped in.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I have something
Whatever. Yes, ma'am.
Additional, just kind of
Yes, ma'am.
taking a big step back. During the course of this discussion, there's a couple of things that I think are noteworthy. And the first is that we've used police resources to investigate this,
Mhm.
right? We're paying attorney's fees
Mhm.
to deal with this. We have considerable lost productivity from city secretary who's sitting here doing this as opposed to usually doing what she would normally be doing this time of the day. Also, our public works department head and the assistant are also here. And to me, it sounds like at the end of the day, what we're really discussing is a buyback on a vehicle and an update to a policy and procedure as it relates to insurance claim. I mean,
I'm not sure I would classify a buyback. I think it's accountability. It's roles and responsibilities with certain employees for the city. But I understand what path you're trying to go down towards too. But my concern is that we have legal representation for an employee. We have further questioning for another. And so are we postured enough today to make a sound decision? That's what I'm asking council, and even from a legal perspective. Because I mean, yes, I mean, there are processes and procedures that have failed. Personnel that represent the city have failed, have dropped the ball on multitude processes, but I'm genuinely asking from, I guess, a legal perspective. Are we postured right now?
Legally, I would say that you are.
Okay.
Dan, what I'd like to hear from Kamala right now, you've been patiently listening to us. And I know Kamala is our HR attorney that's helping rewrite some of our policies right now, and she's been involved in that. So I'd really like to hear your take on some of the discussions that you've heard.
Well, what is the legal question I'm being asked? I don't, I would hate to just say, we all have opinions, but that is not my role. My role is to, if there's a legal question that you have for me to answer, I can answer that question for you, where to go next or something like that. But it's not my role. You guys still have to make a decision on whether you believe what has transpired rises to the level of what you were wanting to do or not wanting to do at this stage of the game.
Okay, having said that, can I say those generally broad stroke options that we discussed?
Sure.
Okay, here's where city council has to make a decision on how they want to proceed with this. You have before you an option of a vote of no confidence on an officer of the city. You have before you a vote for dismissal for cause, at which time it gives the officer the opportunity to put them on notice and give an opportunity for response. Or you have an option to take other action, remain employed, and take other action as you may deem fit. Or you have the ultimate fourth option to say, thank you, move on. Is that pretty much in a nutshell?
That's correct.
Okay, and that's a city council action decision, and we can, if there's anything else to discuss, we can ask any other questions, and then if we're satisfied with all the questions we want to ask, then we can move on to the next agenda item. Anyone else would like to make any comments, questions, war stories, Deborah, your opportunity, or
Well,
anything from there?
I'll just say, I wish to apologize, I guess, to y'all. I had no idea this was going to turn into this. I've done this for 27 years, and I have never seen anything like this. And of course, somehow or another, it started from the beginning, I guess. But unfortunately, I said, I guess in my mind, when this all played out, I'm thinking, okay, this was supposed to be easy. The other company was supposed to pay for this, take care of it, and move on. I mean, and take care of the truck. And then when it started falling apart, I didn't hear anything back from them because I left messages to the different ones to say, look, we need to figure out what's going on and what happened in the communication with this. And so I still have not heard from them on that. But I just couldn't believe it. I said, when all this took place, and like I said, I spoke with him and I said, I've got to call into Geico and they're supposed to come back. The adjuster is supposed to talk with his supervisor. I said, I just can't believe this happened. I said, I cannot believe all this has transpired. And so for that, I'm sorry. For the other parties, I can't say. I said, I've just never had an insurance company, I guess, not take care of what I thought they were doing. So, I mean, and in the process of this, they provided a rental car. I mean, I'm just like, this whole thing just they didn't touch base. And so it went in the right steps, but they didn't pick the truck up. And so I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was supposed to take care of it. Geico never told me that, even though you can sit there and say, well, you're supposed to do that. Geico did not tell me, did not speak to me about it. And like I said, shame on me for listening to the tow truck driver that said, no, you don't. They contact me and then I take it or they pick it up, So it was, it is what it is. And I'm very sorry on that. I said, I was just sick when I found out about it. But then when I found out they found it, I thought, okay, I don't know if we talk to Geico or not and say, okay, this truck is still there. It still needs to be fixed, and I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
If this is the end of it, I guess it is, but I did not intentionally do anything to harm the city or any one of y'all. Seriously.
I understand. I just, there's no other comments. We'll move on.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure you can.
So I do want to.
Do you like to say it now, or you like to say it to the agenda item?
I can say it now.
Because this is really, I don't know if this is the right time for it, but
I will wait.
would that be okay?
The agenda item,
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Go ahead.
No, I do want to echo what Deborah said. She did work at this, case for a good while. This is definitely a learning opportunity for all of us. This is a first for me. I've been here for 7 years. I know she's done it for longer, but I've never encountered this in my 7+ years here at the city. Yes, there are gaps that need to be corrected, and we will get those corrected. But this is just something that she was listening to Geico and not contacting TML or vice versa. But again, I just want to echo that. She has worked tirelessly on this case. We had conversations, almost not quite daily, but maybe every other day about, okay, this is kind of where we're at. We're playing phone tag here. But I do want to comment that she's been trying with this. She really has, and I just want to echo that.
I understand. I just wanted to add one last thing as far as the truck itself. It has a book value, significant. The cost to replace it is significant. It's interesting it would offer the buyback because, in his own words, to stay in good favor with the city. Okay, which is okay, but really interesting. Then there's the question of if Geico will continue to honor the repairs, because anybody that's dealt with repairs on a claim, more times than not, the initial amount may not cover the full amount of repairs. So if they've closed out, then there's additional cost to the city on that. Then there's the fact that it's a vehicle with literally a salvage title, which becomes an issue. So, and then there's the workers' comp if it's not honored, for example. So there's a lot more behind this. Anyway, let's move on to item 6. Do I have to do anything official to close this, or because there was an executive session, but we're having a discussion in open meeting. So, Mr. Attorney, do I have to have anything to actually close it and reconvene in an open session? Okay, well, we'll officially close the conversation at 5:25 p.m. And we'll move on to item 5, reconvene in open session. And then item 6 is consider possible action resulting from items posted and legally discussed in executive session. Consider and take action on the employment of City Secretary Deborah Howe, Director of Public Works John Gomez, and Assistant Director of Public Works Ricky Carrasco. Based on previous discussions, there'll be no action, no further discussion or action on the Director of Public Works John Gomez and Assistant Director of Public Works Ricky Carrasco at this time. But council reserves the right to bring those back up at a future date. So the only thing council's up to discuss right now and possible action is consider and take possible action on the employment of City Secretary Deborah Howe. Do I hear a motion?
I like to make a motion
Yes, ma'am.
to do the option 3, basically where we document this happen, retain her. I mean, it's a learning experience. And have it documented, retain her, that we move forward. We document it in her personnel record.
So the motion is just to document the incident and no further action? Is that the motion?
Yes.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to document the interest in the personnel file and take no further action concerning the pertaining to the City Secretary Deborah Howe. Any discussion on that?
I got some.
Yes, sir.
Are we sure we do not want to proceed with anything further than that?
That's a discussion with the city council. I can, okay,
You gotta vote on this.
I can vote on this issue. And
Gotcha.
You can't
Okay.
discuss something yet. You gotta vote one way or the other on this.
Okay. All right, I have a motion and a second to do that. Document, place it in the file, and no further action pertaining to City Secretary Deborah Howe on this incident. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign?
Nay.
Okay, the motion failed. I would entertain another motion.
I don't have it written down, but I will try. So I'd like to make a motion, agreed with the first part of the, to go ahead and accept this as a learning process with possibly a PIP for performance, that we ensure that we get consistent performance from here out with respect to any policies that we may have.
Okay, that's going to be an interesting one, but let me make sure I have the motion. The motion is to document and prepare a PIP or performance improvement plan for the city secretary to move forward from this incident and ensure that these type of issues do not happen again in the future.
Correct.
My question, before I ask for a second, my question is, Kamala, do you guys have enough information to draft up a PIP?
I would say, based on that, yes, it means that it would be my understanding, and you have to correct me, is that you would want her to draft some sort of procedures or things that she thinks, at least to show you that how she thinks it should go, or who the TML should be filtered through for maybe legal's review to show that we all know the policy.
Okay, but I just want to make sure you're asking that it be prepared from council
From council.
and prepared to and presented to the council.
So I'm supposed to do this?
No,
No? Okay.
no. You can give the information on what you thought, but the actual document be prepared from legal. Okay.
Yes.
And my question is, and we can go from there. All right, that's the motion to document the incident and prepare a performance improvement plan for the city secretary moving forward, that these type of issues do not happen again in the future. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that one.
Okay.
And
Have
I
a
can
motion?
assure you it will never,
I know.
even though we're going to put something
I
together.
know that, Deborah. So we have a motion and a second on the floor to document the incident in personnel file and prepare a performance improvement plan to include, among other things, that this type of issues do not happen again. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Okay,
3 eyes.
was that a 3-2? Okay, then that's it. Motion carries. All right, now we'll just go ahead. It is now 5:31 PM and we will adjourn this meeting unless anybody has anything else. We'll move on. Thank you.